Welcome to the
Josh and Josh
Talk
Oh, you go ahead.
Everything podcast.
You're looking a little tired there, buddy.
I'm a little tired. I was up late.
No one cares. Listen, this is not that type of we don't talk about ourselves in this podcast. But, you know, while we're talking about it, so today I almost got hit by a car. That was wild. 6 feet.
Yeah.
6 feet in front of me, a drunk driver almost hit me.
That is so
Thank
crazy.
God. Literally, thank God. And everyone else that was involved to make my day a little bit slower by, I don't know, 2 seconds. So I didn't get hit by a car. It was nuts. But anyway, long and short of it is this, is that love hard because you don't know when your time's up. And, you know, go home and hug hug your dog.
Right.
Give that friend a call and enjoy that food. Enjoy that music. Love your life because life is cool.
Life is short.
Life can be, it can be really short too, especially nowadays. So really enjoy it. You know, that's, by the way, greetings from Pangea. We love y'all, but that's just, we got to start off. We got to start off. We got to start off top and get that out of the way and love hard and live hard too.
Live free or die hard. Yeah.
That's right. Die hard 6.
Well, Mr. Josh,
where do we go from there? As soon as I said, wow, where do we go from there? You were like, wow.
Well, I mean, I just want to say, you know, I'm glad you're still here.
Thank
for
you.
the record. Just for the record, I am glad that Josh is still alive.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
That's good stuff. I did, you know, it's one of those things where I came over, I told you the story pre-show, and I said, you know, experience life like you want to. I just started doing the Charleston. Remember when I started doing Charleston?
Yeah.
You can't see it, but I'm doing it right now. I'm doing the Charleston in a chair.
It was pretty good. It was fun. You had good energy.
Yeah, I had good energy, but you can do that. You can, you know what? Here's what you should do. If you go to a grocery store, start singing a song. Start singing whatever. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
Oh, hey.
I'm asking him to change his way.
Ooh,
start singing.
Saucy.
Start singing. Even if you're not great like I am, start singing wherever you're at. Love life.
Well,
live it.
My girlfriend and I, we usually dance in the frozen food aisle.
Really? Just why the frozen food?
I don't know. Something about the frozen food aisle. It's the most romantic of all the food aisles when we go to the grocery store.
You know what?
We just always end up like canoodling or dancing or having fun in the frozen food aisle. I don't know why.
It is the most well lit, and if you think about it, like it is a romantic aisle. Like you can get a lot of great meals there.
I think part of it is it feels more secluded from the other aisles because I feel like it's usually not as populated.
There's a membership to the aisle. Like you have to go there with something in mind. Like you can't just wander. If you see someone wandering, you always kind of, hey, get out of here. It's not what this is for.
This
right?
serious
get out of here.
This is serious business here.
Right.
I don't know. For some reason, the grocery store that we go to Tony's Finer Foods, by the way. And for whatever reason, it's just usually unpopulated. So it's just me and her, and we just dance or party or something. You know, that one time they play like a halfway decent song on the music.
I'm never gonna dance again. The guilty feet have got no rhythm.
There you go. Or
That's
how about
awesome.
Seals, Kiss from a Rose, which premiered on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Batman Forever. I've been kissed by a rose on the grave. I'm really not a good singer.
That's okay.
We might have to cut that out. Or, you know, we should leave it in and let people judge. Hey, hit us up. Josh Talk Everything at gmail.com.
Yes.
Hit us up in the hot box. Keep submitting those ideas and tell us
what record label Josh should sign to.
Death Row. Please.
Death
I
Row
hope it's Death Row.
Gangsta.
I can't do freestyle, but I've done some John Cena, like Thugonomics stuff.
Nice.
And I'm a soldier, and I'll stay under you fighting. Plus, you're storming all those trumps like I'm thunder and lightning. Ain't no way you're breaking me, kid. I'm harder than nails. Plus, you keep it all locked like I'm part of the jail. I'm smarter than stale the competition. I got the whole block wishing they could run with my position, but they gone fishing. You can't see me. My time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. It's a franchise, and I'm shining now. You can't see me. My time is now. What do you have to say about that?
Sir, that is the best thing I've seen all day.
You know, I'm living life. Almost got hit by a drunk driver today.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, guys. Mm-hmm. You know, we should all be about driving. We should all be about getting drunk. Let's not do them together.
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah.
Stop being so effing stupid. All right? Especially in Pangea. There's Ubers. There's Lyfts.
No.
There's public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
There's your friends.
Taxis still technically do exist.
You could walk. You could
walk.
have alcohol delivered to your home and get
Yeah.
drunk in your home.
Yeah, just stay in.
So
You know.
so get drunk, but don't drive when you do it. You can drive, but don't drink. You can do both things, but not at the same
Right.
time. You see,
Exactly.
and you can't drink and then go drive. So that's a catch here, right? So don't do it. Don't do them.
Find yourself the designated driver in your group. There's got to be somebody who doesn't drink.
Well, let's be honest. No one likes to be the DD, but still, you got to think of then. That's why you.
Some folks
that's,
will do it. You'll get the Ned Flanders out there.
Maybe. Well, yeah, and then if you do, you need to make sure you hold those friends closely and make sure they get IHOP at the end of the night, and take care of them. So
Well,
yeah. But let's get to business. Enough about you. Let's talk about me. So we're talking about Blockbuster and Family Video and superpowers today, right?
Yes. Classic video stores.
Dude,
And what superpower would we choose?
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get to superpowers here in a little bit. But speaking of superpowers, I remember when I was with my dad, we went to a Blockbuster Video for the first time. We'd only ever gone to the grocery store. You know how grocery stores used to have that video rental section that was like about 1 cubic foot.
Very
small.
kiosk,
Right. Yeah. And we went to Blockbuster because that opened up in our area, and they had balloons and all this stuff, and they're advertising free popcorn. We're like, what? Oh my gosh. So we go in there, we rent our movies. And first of all, we were blown away that 1,000 copies of RoboCop 2. We're like, whoa! It was just went on and on forever. But that said, the thing that blew us away the most was I remember we were checking out, and the guy said, "All right, and then you get these movies for 2 days." And we both looked at each other like, "Wow, 2 days? That was unheard of." You used to be able to rent a movie, and the next day you returned it.
Yeah.
And guess what? Be kind. Please rewind.
Yeah.
And we couldn't believe we had to keep this for 2 days. So you mean we could go home tonight, we could play a game, and not have to worry about watching this movie because we can watch it tomorrow night. We have it for 2 nights.
Exactly.
That's a big deal. Like that, and then eventually Blockbuster got where it was like 7 nights. You had a 7-night rental. You might as well keep the damn thing at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well, then eventually they did away with late fees entirely. Remember that?
Right. Yeah. It's like you basically kept at a certain point. It's just yours. It's like, yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
They would just charge you for the movie at that point. Yeah. No, Blockbuster was a revelation.
It was a revelation, and it's weird because the video stores were around the longest time, and it used to be one of those things like, it was the Thursday nights, the Friday nights, it would be packed, people trying to get that movie for the weekend, that the new releases.
Yeah.
Everyone trying to get it out for the holidays and whatnot. Like I remember going like Thursday night after Thanksgiving, it'd be like lines, people trying to get movies, and video games and all that from the store. A Family Video, and I feel like Blockbuster, obviously it went the way of the dodo bird. There is the one standing Blockbuster, which we'll get to here in a second. Yeah. But like Family Video was probably another big chain there with Blockbuster, and really up until recently, Family Video I would drive by up until about 2019, and I would see cars in the parking lot, people still going in and out. It was really when the pandemic hit, that's when I think Family Video, I started seeing them shut down. Really, they just couldn't keep up. Yeah. Because people like, at this point I need to just sort of rent them at home, which you can do. You can rent everything from your TV nowadays. So, but that is the interesting thing kind of about Blockbuster. It used to sort of command, and I remember hearing things about Redbox, how they actually initially pitched the Redbox idea to Blockbuster, were kind of laughed out, and then Redbox created their own thing, and then Blockbuster like, oh crap, they tried to do Blockbuster Express, and it was too late.
It was too late.
And that was the first thing. But that said, Family Video is kind of going the way of the dodo bird, and I don't want to bash Blockbuster because Blockbuster is technically still around, right?
Bend, Oregon. There's still a Blockbuster left. I don't know. I kind of like, a lot of people have this nostalgia and this rose-colored glasses about Blockbuster, and I get it. I feel like I kind of have slightly mixed feelings about Blockbuster.
Did you work for them?
I never worked for them.
Did you work for Hollywood Video or Family Video or a video store? Okay.
No. The closest would come is like work for Facets Video in Chicago here,
I don't
which is like an independent. They've been around forever.
Okay.
But they do a lot of foreign stuff and video. But anyway.
Whoa, Josh.
Yeah, it was exciting stuff.
All right.
But I don't know. Like Blockbuster was all right. It's just it always bothered me. Like sometimes they would censor releases. Sometimes they just wouldn't carry certain movies.
They'd censor like a new release?
Sometimes. Every now and then they would have an edited version. Every now and then, not on certain movies, and then they wouldn't carry other movies.
But I'm sorry, but they've done that before. Like there are theatrical versions, as they call it, and then like sort of the video.
Yeah, but it's like it's one thing for like the studio to decide that the home video release is changed for whatever reason. And then it's another thing for a private company to decide what, because they're like, well, we're not going to carry it if it has this scene in it or whatever in it.
So is there something like impactful they've done that you can think of like that was like, whoa, they should have kept that in? Like,
that's the thing. I really should have thought about this ahead. This is just something that came up off the top of my head, but I know it has happened. So I encourage you to go look it up.
You're a lying sack of shit. Fake news guy.
But but what I can definitely say is they wouldn't carry. They definitely didn't carry certain movies because they found the content objectionable. Specifically, Trauma is something that comes to mind. The Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
Well, Trauma was it single X? Was it officially considered like?
Oh, I don't know about that specifically. I mean, their stuff was just low budget, lowbrow, but
it was, and that's, I guess, I don't know. It's weird because the first official PG-13 movie was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, right? Because 16 Candles was PG, but there was like a nudity scene in there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But
all kinds of stuff was rated much more leniently. Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, rated G.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah,
right. Like, Steven Spielberg came up with that PG-13 idea to have some, something bridging the gap between PG and R. Which pretty good idea overall.
Right. And there's NC-17, and then there's like, there's actually a rated M too. Mature.
I've seen that on certain video releases. I don't know. I feel like that was just in the 90s, and then it just kind of. I don't know.
I remember because it was a store. I was at a video warehouse. This is a smaller chain, and I wanted to rent it. My stepmom's like, "What is that? Rated M?" I'm like, "I think it's just basically for everyone. I just made it up." And so she took it to the manager. She's like, "What is this? What's this rating?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think it's like slightly above R." She goes, "Yeah, okay, no thanks." So I tried to pull a fast one, but she's too smart for me. So, yeah.
They wouldn't carry certain movies, and in turn, because of their power and their clout, they had over 9,000 locations.
Yeah,
and they had gobs of money.
They had a lot. They had a lockdown.
So they had a lot of power of like what kind of movies got made, what kind of things got released, how they were released, things like that. And that was that was a little iffy.
Well, and to piggyback to you, and just to prove your point here. Y'all have to remember, this is before Netflix. This is before Redbox.
This is before just streaming.
Netflix, Redbox, streaming. Even really, on demand. For a lot of cable companies didn't really have on demand at that point. So this was the destination. Like, you went to Blockbuster, like that was the thing. You had to go to an actual video store and get it. So, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's it. It's just, it just always bothered me that Blockbuster had so much power over, like, you know what I mean? You're the video store, not the movie maker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're the customer of the movie studios, theoretically, and then you just provide that to the customer. You're not supposed to be, editorializing or, things like that. So,
right, especially when a movie, because really a movie theater should not be much different than a movie store, rental store, because like they're both showing movies, right?
Right.
And movie theaters pretty much don't do that.
Like they said in Gremlins 2, we just show the movies, But like in fact, back in the day, there was a situation ages ago where movie theaters were owned by the studio. So it'd be like, go to the Paramount movie theater to see the Paramount movies and things like that. I think that actually ended. I think there was a law or some regulation actually passed.
Interesting.
But anyway, so yeah, they're just supposed to supply the movies, not influence. And that just always kind of bugged me later in life when I realized what was really going on. But so it's like, I like Blockbuster just as much as the next guy, but there's I feel like you should always keep that in mind. You should always remember that Blockbuster was kind of, take off those rose-colored glasses just a little bit, because me, I always need to fucking find the seedy underbelly of everything.
And I didn't know that it is kind of an unnecessary conduit of sorts. And again, if you don't see it at a movie theater level, they're just showing the movies. People they have every right to look at the as far as a review ahead of time to know what they're going to watch. Although, funny story to that. People don't always know what they're going to watch, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
This is back in the day when I was a projectionist. Nowadays, when people work at a movie theater, they're just literally putting like a disc on, and they push play.
Yeah.
Back then, there's an actual film you had to splice and all that, and it was like on a rotator and so on and so forth. Well, there was this. I was a projectionist, and there's one night where we were basically at 7:15 we had one movie, and at 9:45 we had another. Now, it was kind of a crazy thing to switch the movies over, but anyway, we did it back in the day. Suffice to say, I flipped the movies around. So the 9:45 went at 7:15, and the 7:15 went at 9:45. Here's the problem. People at 7:15 came to go see October Sky. You ever seen October Sky?
No.
It's about the Rocket Boys It's a really good movie. It's kind of a classical feel-good 50s movie about some boys that are really smart at math. They put together, they build a rocket.
Okay.
It's a good movie. Check out Rocket Boys. But it's called October Sky. The book is Rocket Boys. It's the movie is called October Sky. Anyway, it's a good, feel-good, movie where all your seniors are showing up and your family members there, and everyone's having a good time, and everyone's looking just to chill out and have a good Sunday night, a good nice family Sunday night. Here's the problem. The movie at 9:45 started at 7:15. The movie at 9:45 was Arlington Road with Jeff Bridges.
Wow.
And it was Jeff Bridges and who else? Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Come on, help me out.
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins, of course.
Yeah.
And the movie starts off. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the movie starts off with a kid running down the road with a bloody hand and stuff.
Right.
And so I start the movie and I go, I think nothing of it. And I go to the concession stand. I'm talking to the cashier. All of a sudden, a couple ladies come out. What movie is this? And I go, oh, that's October Sky. She's like, no, it's not. I go in there and I see people rising up from their seats, and I see a kid going down the street with a bloody hand.
Yeah.
And I had seen the movie before him, and I'm like, oh shit. And so it was over at that point. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to sit there and I gave refunds, but it was a packed house.
Oh boy. Oh wow.
It was a packed house. And there was 300 people. Every single one that walked by was just like disgusted at me. And I had to sit there and give them not only but I had to take it.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do in that situation? So,
yeah.
So this is why we should have movie stores, because you go to movie theaters, you get stuck with assholes like me that play Arlington High. But here's Arlington Road is a good movie.
It is.
In their defense, in fact, it's a really, really good movie. Right at the end, you're like, no.
It's a great, absolutely.
It's a really, really good movie. Excellent twist at the end. And October Sky is a great movie. Both great movies. I just played at the wrong time. But you know what's great though? This is the best part. This is actually the best part. When someone came at 9:45 and they wanted to see October Sky, the cashier said, well, here's the thing. It was only at 7:15, but we actually are going to play it at 9:45 because of snafu. And the guy's like, really? So I'm like, thank God it worked out. So that one guy, some guy came, he actually literally came to see October Sky. Didn't realize it was only 7:15.
Wow.
Came at 9:45 and was playing for him. So it actually worked out for someone.
Wow. King for a day, that
King
guy.
for a day. He had the theater himself. It was awesome. Good stuff.
Outstanding.
Good stuff. But I do want to say that, when it comes down to it, circling back on video stores, movie theaters, it's entertainment. And the thing is, life is tough. And this is why we should appreciate things like books and movies and theaters and plays and street artists and museums and podcasts.
Yeah.
And all this. And even like storytelling or open mic nights. We should all appreciate any type of entertainment, because life gets really tough, and entertainment is really the oil that keeps things moving, and it keeps things fun, and it keeps things expressive, and it keeps us and our soul intact. So that's what I think, if anything, where we may not be able to go to a rental store like we used to and get a movie, but from the comfort of our home and the safety of our home, we can still get those same great movies, and we can stream them within our home. So that's cool.
Yeah, and it's necessary. See, I always had this theory backed up by nothing, but the theory was that most animals, like, good 85-90% of their day is spent hunting or gathering, trying to find food, eating, just survival things, right?
Yeah.
But humans, we don't really have to worry about that.
No,
you know what I mean. We when we want to eat, we just go and grab the food. We don't have to.
We used to have to worry about that.
We used to,
yeah, but not now.
But we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to have these. We don't have to enact violence on animals. Let's say ourselves, at least. We don't have to hunt and stealthily do things. So I always kind of felt like entertainment, and especially things like sporting events. Boxing.
I didn't even mention
that.
Sports of all things, right? Like athletes, of course, yes.
Right, but I always felt like that entertainment is the replacement for that to keep us going. Because back then that your entertainment was running after this boar or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now you don't have that, so you need something to
dinner
fill
theater,
that.
It was all along. Yeah,
you
entertainment. You're ate at the same time.
You need something to fill that on top of survival. That's just my theory. So
no, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
You always need that. You're always going to need some kind of entertainment. That's why entertainment, things like books and movies and video games, it's always going to be around.
And we have to. That's the thing. We have to take stock, because we have to think about, like, the example you gave back in the day. If you were hungry, you had to go, get a couple people together and fight a boar. Nowadays, you pull out your phone and order food. You can order pizza from your phone.
You can search for boar on Grubhub, probably.
You could search for boar. Right. I mean, well, boar's head, meat and stuff. So, yeah, I mean,
Hey,
there's the possibility there. But, yeah, bottom line is things are getting better. It may not seem like it, but the fact that we can order food from our phone and sit on our fat ass and sit here and watch movies without even leaving, we can do all that from the comfort of our own home. I mean, come on. Things may be getting worse, but overall, things are getting better in a lot of regard.
Yeah. Our ancestors would be blown away by these ideas. It's like, you've got running water inside these walls.
Well, and that's
light
actually,
and food,
that's where I catch myself, though, right? That's where I catch myself, because then, especially here in America, we're considered a first world country.
Yeah.
There's still starvation.
True.
There's still, Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
They have running water problems. To me, a first world country should not have any type of running water problems.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any starvation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, again, it's one of those things. That's what bothers me. So that's something we have to take into consideration as well too. That's a whole other podcast there. But yes, suffice to say, in general, the access is there. It is better. But I wouldn't mind, instead of seeing more McDonald's, maybe we saw more community gardens and people got to eat more fresh fruit and cheaper fruit. Because here's the thing: it does cost a lot of money. A dollar double cheeseburger. Well, don't get me wrong. I like McDonald's. I'm more of a vegetarian, plant-based diet these days, but hey, McDonald's hamburgers are good, but it's a dollar double cheeseburger. It's mass-produced garbage. The thing about it is, the reason why things like produce is so much more expensive is that it takes a farmer to cultivate it, plant it, harvest, and then send it to the store and all that. It takes so much more time with all that. So yeah, I would like to see more community gardens where we just grow more food for everyone, and instead of having to rely on fast food. Smaller communities and maybe underprivileged areas could benefit from such a community garden in that regard. I think of my dad growing up. My dad had a huge garden in his backyard, and he would have a surplus of vegetables. We'd have people showing up all the time like I was a freaking general store. He'd hand out bags of tomatoes and stuff. People loved it, and it was fresh. I mean, it don't get any more fresher than that.
Yeah, really.
I mean, farm fresh, but this is literally next door fresh.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't get any fresher, right? So. So even little things like that, I think just making that access, for everyone, because that's the thing. It's like, even having a better diet, it does affect your mood, it does affect your personality, and that impacts everything. So giving that access, I think, is the first thing. But again, I think we are getting there. The fact that we don't have to go out and hunt all of our food, we can have things come to us. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's like a superpower, huh?
Superpower. Hey, that's a segue. Your superpower is good segue.
Hey, that's actually, I've had like 3 good segues today.
Absolutely.
There's the 2 in this podcast and the segue I wrote over on.
I was just going to say, do you remember the segue? Yeah. They really had high hopes for that.
I had high hopes for the chicken. The thing about it is I'm not against those. Just to me, it seems lazy.
Oh, so for anybody listening that doesn't know, the Segway, we're referring to, like, imagine like a scooter, but you just stand up and it just goes for you. Basically, you just go right.
It's like, I'm not against it. I just something, and it's weird because, like, you're in a car, you're on a road, it's one thing, but like on a sidewalk,
right? Like,
if you're on a sidewalk, you should be running or walking.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be gliding. I don't know. It's stupid, and it's stupid. I'm saying that.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, to me, it feels a little silly that I'm still standing. Like if you're skateboarding, that's one thing or something like that. But like, I'm standing and it's moving for me. It's like at that point, it's just like, make a sitting little buggy thing or something. I don't know.
Well, you know what it is more efficient though, because I mean, if you can use a motorized thing, something on the sidewalk and not have to worry about like stop signs and just keep kind of going in and out. I mean,
because the footprint is basically you,
right? It's
not much bigger than
you.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I guess that was what they were really banking on, was the brilliance of that.
Right.
But it doesn't go that fast. You can't do anything else with it.
There's maintenance too, because if it breaks down, then you got to get it fixed and all that.
And I think the real death knell was, I think I heard like San Francisco had banned Segways.
Really?
Yeah, like right away. They were like, no, fuck that shit.
It's too many people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, could you imagine Tokyo, people on Segways?
Oh, boy.
Or New York City?
Oh,
or even, I mean, Chicago's pretty condensed in areas, like
everybody be bumping around. Yeah.
I mean, San Francisco, at least it's spread out. A lot of the Western cities they're spread out, like Los Angeles, but I mean, they do get condensed in some areas, but
right.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus. So, what would your superpower be?
Superpowers.
I'm gonna have you go first because mine's better.
Oh, really? Okay.
It is.
Well,
No one's the superpower I have. So anyone tuning in right now, the superpower I want, there's nothing that's better than it. There's nothing that can top it. So Josh, go ahead.
All right. Well, one of the most powerful characters in all of fiction, what I feel is one of
Won't
the
be as powerful as mine, but go ahead.
will be what I feel is one of the most desirable superpowers ever. That is one Mr. Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. If you'll recall, Zach Morris was able to stop time by calling a timeout.
You son of a bitch. That's exactly what I was going to say. So from here
serious?
forward, we're going to move forward. I was not going to say the Zach Morris. I was going to say the ability to stop time.
Oh, okay.
You goddamn genius. So I guess we're aligned. So that's cool. So I'm going to let you go because we're probably going to say the same thing. So yeah,
right.
this
Well,
is interesting. Interesting.
Well, because see, and see, here's the thing. Some people erroneously on the internet claim that was just a storytelling device and it's not actually happening. But it's not, because you could go online. There are clips on YouTube. There's one particular scene where Zach Morris pulls a stunt and everybody in the school ends up hating him. I know there's like 700 episodes like that. But in this particular one, they're in Belding's office and Slater's just about to punch him. And he calls a timeout. Zach slips out from under Slater. Explains what he wants to do, talks to the audience, and then repositions Slater so that he ends up punching Mr. Belding in the face. Now, that is a direct effect upon the events that are happening in the story.
Oh, interesting.
So I would say that he actually does have that superpower, and that is the one I would want, because what I would do is, man, it's not clear if his superpower only affects like the immediate area around him or if it's global. But if it's global, man, think of all the things you could think of, all the good you could do for the world. Like stop time, give yourself like 5 years to quote fix things.
Well, that's first of all, we should stop right there. So because there's some bodies of literature that have discussed, the ability to stop time, just as far as a fun thing, but. The idea is that what if you stop time? Are you still getting older? So you stop time for 5 years. Are you still aging?
I would be okay with still aging.
Okay.
I just have to use my power judiciously and not lose track of time, I guess you could say.
But that's the thing, is like minutes turn into hours, turn into days, and before you know it, it's just like you become drunk with power, and you're like, before you know it, a whole week's been like frozen.
Yeah.
There was some I forgot what it was. There was some I remember hearing this before, but it was kind of one of those questions like, would you like to have the ability to stop time, but would you accept it if every time you paused time, when you resumed it, you were frozen for like 3 times the amount of time. So if you stop time for 3 minutes, once you resume, you would then be frozen for 9 minutes. So eventually, effectively, people would know you had the power at some point.
Oh, that'd be disastrous.
So that's right, exactly. So.
Oh, that's like one of those monkey's paw kind of caveats.
Well, and it's who do you tell? Like, do you tell anyone that you can stop time? And if here's the other big thing: if you can stop time, our camera is still rolling. That's a question I have.
That's the thing.
My assumption is no, but
it would have to be like the perfect time stop. Where cameras are rolling, you don't have to worry about repaying time.
So we're assuming like it's actual. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I would want Zach Morris style where there's seemingly no consequences, but maybe you can only use it once a week. Because he only used it once per episode, if even that.
I think he used it more than that. I think there's a couple times. But I will say this: it only seemed like he had a 10-second window to use it, and then
maybe.
But he always had to call it back, though.
He did call it back.
So that was the thing. So I don't know.
I don't know. But
that is a good point. Because I always thought of it more of as an aside.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Slater did not realize he moved.
Yeah.
And he literally stopped time.
Yeah.
Because that's what I would do. Is like essentially I would do funny things. Like if someone's being mean to me, I would just pause time and then pull their pants down in public and stuff, and then be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened there,
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the thing is like we talk about this, and I think you and I are conversation of who's good and bad. That can go on and on for days. But I'd like to think you and I are probably leaning more towards the good side of humanity.
Yeah.
You have to think about if someone has the ability to stop time and they're a horrible person, the things they could do with destruction. So you could also superpower talking. It could be for a super villain as well too. So
definitely.
I mean that's something that is eerie to think about.
Yeah. There was a video game called Time Shift.
Okay.
And you could freeze time and rewind time and things like that. And the
what was
villain in the game?
Oh, okay. Goes.
The villain in the game ended up with that ability, and like so your character like ends up going back to the present day, and he's run, he's the whole place is like a post-apocalyptic war zone that he rules.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and it's like he's like, I was gone for a minute. It's like, well, he stopped time for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like totally, yeah. It's a great game, by the way. Don't read the reviews. I don't know. At the time, nobody liked the game.
Huh.
I thought it was fucking brilliant. You literally walk between raindrops when you pause time. It was amazing. Xbox 360.
Oh, cool. All right.
That explores that idea. So yeah, it would have to be someone of a high virtue, and with
Yeah.
Yeah,
the time I would want to use it be like, like I'm at a party, I'm feeling tired, but man, I'm like, I wish I could just sleep for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
I'd sleep for 2 hours, then wake up and be like, blah, 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 like like going bouncing off the wall like Jim Carrey or something. People are like, that guy's a party animal, he never stops.
Yeah.
It's like he's always just full of energy. Or if you need to just buy yourself a little more time, you're like, oh my gosh, there's just so much stuff going on, I need to sleep a little bit or something, or
right.
I need more time to do this project or something. Yeah, like,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
I mean, that is something that is an interesting thing to think about, is that in any power, like absolute power corrupts. It's the whole conversation with Superman. Like, he could have used his power for bad.
Yeah.
And he used it for good. Same situation. Like, it's hopefully the power with someone that's highly virtuous. But again, if we're talking this sort of fictitious, dimension where the ability to stop time actually exists, which it doesn't really, because there has been some quantum physics that have shown that they think they can go 100th of a second into the future. I think if they break, they mentioned they break the sound barrier, they actually literally go about 100th of a second in the future, but they can't actually go back in time. Meaning, so if you can't go back in time, you can't pause time. So, right. But also, like, I mean, that's the thing, is like, if you pause time, can people still see you? Because technically, their eyes are still moving, or they're not. I don't know. It's like, it's a camera situation too, right? Like, I don't know. So
it's one of those things. Like, you ever see the movie Looper?
Yes, I have seen that. Yes,
that's a great time travel movie. But they're at the diner talking about, and like they're literally like trying to say, well, how about this and this, and Bruce Willis is, his character's just like, hey, we could spend all day thinking about the specific details and try and get our mind wrapped around it, but this is just what's happening. Just go with it. Basically, right. Telling the audience, just fucking go with it. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you really look at the finer details, you'd have to really, really map things out and wonder, like, yeah, all sorts of things. Like, just imagine, like, I know for one thing, like, when the time stop ended, like, all my friends would have like briefcases with like $25,000 in it, and like people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and stuff would all find themselves on like this island, away from with like all the other like assholes that I don't like. It'd be great,
Well, you have to realize, So, it's a bit out there, that idea, but let's just say, like, okay,
hey,
all the logistics involved. So first of all, you have to stop time.
Yeah.
Then moving physically, because here's the thing, everyone else is paused. You are the only worker.
Yeah.
Unless there's a button that says, okay, I can make this person automated and be my robot and zombie.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So you have to, everything you do, you got to build yourself. You're going to build Rome in one day, but it's going to be by yourself.
I mean, if I pause time for like 5 years, I could probably do it. I think, like, I mean,
you'd give up. I think you'd honestly just give up and be like, this is enough.
This is too much. Maybe. I mean, hey, I could always jump back and forth. I don't have to do everything all at once.
I would do. The things I would probably do is, like, I would pause time and like go like eat a hot dog or something at a gas station, like not pay for it. Rude stuff like that. I mean, and I'd also like. But the thing is, like, here, this is my mind, thinking like, oh, just be fun. But then, like, what's to stop me then from like pausing time when the cashier's giving money out of the till and be like, oh, I get 20 or 50. But that's the thing. It's like, you're thinking, well, you'd never do that, right? But then again, you have the power to stop time. I think, to your point, one of those time travel movies, I don't think it was Looper. I forgot what it was, but it was based kind of like a Groundhog Day, where these three friends were stuck in the same day over and over.
Oh, okay.
What happened was they're having fun with it. So initially having fun, but then one of them becomes kind of very evil and starts doing evil things.
Yeah.
And the other two are trying to stop them. That's what the plot becomes.
Interesting.
But, that's the thing. It's like, because you're stuck in this loop, what else are you going to do? And if you can do everything for better or for worse, the sun will still rise at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Again, it becomes that whole, what would you do? We all like to think we do the right thing, but if you were in that situation, what would you do? You don't know until you're there.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if we're talking about specifically a Groundhog's Day scenario, when you think about it, it's like, if your choices really don't matter, then you could say, some could argue, the morality goes out the window, because none of this is actually happening. But you could also argue like the pain and suffering that person is in. Let's say you're like hurting somebody or something, right? Like or you kill somebody. It's like that pain and suffering that they're enduring, at least for that day. Is that enough? Is that real? Does it matter that it's washed away? Does it matter that maybe it matters that it just happened at all?
Well,
and
that's
interesting philosophical thoughts there.
And that was the two sides of the coin, because they're the two people that are trying to fight and say no, that's the wrong thing. The other person was saying they're not going to feel anything.
Yeah.
At 6 a.m. tomorrow, it all goes back to the same thing. And so it was that whole like, well, yeah, but they're for that small time, that window, they are a sentient being.
Yeah.
They know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, their whole mindset is like, listen, we're stuck in this universe over and over and over again. It's our playground. Yeah. And 6 a.m., nothing. They're gonna act like nothing happened. They're none the wiser.
That movie sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it's called. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. Let's look it up. Hit us up. Josh Talk Everything.
Yeah, let us know.
@gmail.com. But yeah, that's all. I mean, honestly, the ability to stop time. Because think about it. If you're the Avengers, go back to Endgame.
Right.
If you're the Avengers, if you have the ability to legitimately stop time when you're fighting, Thanos, before you lost in the first movie, wouldn't you have just paused time? Like, okay, we got to figure out what we're doing with this guy, or put him on a rock 4,000, billion light years away or something, like that's. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say probably Captain Marvel would be the one that could probably stop time, maybe of everyone. Although Doctor Strange, I think, can do it or Doctor
seems like maybe
can do it as well too. So, but yeah, I think that to me, whether you can fly, whether you can lift things, whether you can shoot things out of your eyes, whether you can block things with awesome shields on your wrists, whether you have an awesome lasso, whether you have all the billionaire toys you can have. At the end of the day, the ability to stop time, I think, is the one trump card to all superpowers, because there's nothing you can do. It stops time,
right?
And it's the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah, how do you come back from that? You're frozen in time. You don't even know anything's happened theoretically. Like the person who's time stopped, like if we want to get really out there, like somebody could be stopping time right now and I wouldn't know it. We just, could have paused time 100 times.
Isn't that funny to think about? Yeah,
it's so crazy. Like that's what they talk about, like aliens. Sometimes it's like if they do exist, the universe is so big, you're probably never going to run into them anyway. So it's a moot point, they say.
Well, that's something right there that keeps me up at night. Sometimes is that forget all science fiction, forget anything else. Just think about this: the universe is always expanding. Even if there's a brick wall that said the end, there's matter after that. It's always expanding. Yeah. And I kind of, my theory is I feel like we're sort of a universe within a universe within a universe. If you've ever seen the end of Men in Black, where it shows they sort of pan out from our world to the solar system to our galaxy to the universe, and our whole universe is actually in the inside of a marble that an alien is playing in a different dimension. Yeah. Like that's kind of what it is. It's just sort of this, and that's really what I think it is. I mean, it's got to be one universe within a universe within a universe. Our whole universe is a small little atom and a pebble of some alien in another dimension. Yeah. But that's the thing is our universe is real enough to us. This matters. Yeah. Just like that little alien kid, that marble means a lot to them, Yeah.
It's all about your perspective. I mean, you go subatomic level and you get these creatures that are living at subatomic level or whatever, you know what I mean? Or not subatomic, but microscopic level. Yeah. And that's the whole world there. You know what I mean? I know these are simple creatures that don't reason as much as us, but it's still, it's so wild.
Well, the funny is probably someone's looking at us right now in a microscope, and we don't even know it.
Could very well be. That's the thing.
Isn't that wild? It's so wild to think about that. But the ability to stop time, I think that is the one power that really is above all. Mm-hmm. But just like all powers, absolute power corrupts, and I hope it falls in the right hands if and when it does get created. So
I'll be a just ruler. Don't worry, Josh.
Well, the ability to stop time, if you can do that, you can maybe go back in time, and maybe Blockbuster would maybe have taken Redbox up on their offer. And
Redbox. Netflix also, there's a time when Netflix was up for sale for $30 million. Blockbuster could have bought it. Wow. They were offering to buy it. And they chose not to. And then later on, Netflix almost bought Blockbuster. And then they're like, nah, we don't need that.
Isn't that wild to think about?
It's crazy. Wow. Like they just, Blockbuster, they didn't have the foresight. Everything was outdated business models and outdated thinking.
No one ever does. And it's funny. I was watching Stranger Things season 3 not too long ago, and they're showing how sort of the town, the town square is sort of shutting down because the mall was taken over.
Yeah.
That's just, it's the new Amazon. And, it's like the malls are shutting down because of Amazon. And Jeff B was talking about Amazon. He was like on some shareholder meeting, he was sharing, at some point Amazon's going to let us all down and fail. Another company's going to come along and take us over. And like all the shareholders like, oh my gosh, real? I'm like, that's just, he's like, I'm going to be honest. There's always going to be someone bigger and better than you around the corner. Amazon's doing their best to be as customer-centric as possible, but there's always going to be someone else around the corner there that's going to do something a little bit better than you, and that's for better or for worse,
I mean, people are talking about like Alibaba, AliExpress, things like that. Right. Who knows? Like it might not be domestic. It might be another, country like China or something. Like, Right. It's there's always something else. I mean, there's people talk about like Facebook and stuff and YouTube. There's going to be something that changes that up. Like. I mean, I don't know if you've been keeping up with any of this Facebook news.
The meta,
the metaverse and the meta, yeah. Barbecue sauce on Jeff Bezos's, or barbecue sauce on Mark Zuckerberg's bookshelf.
I don't know about that barbecue sauce.
They include in the video they sent out. They included like a bunch of like little Easter eggs because Mark Zuckerberg's trying to feel human or something. I want to feel human.
So he had barbecue sauce on his what?
Yeah, there was like, they did it was like a promotional video. So it was Mark Zuckerberg talking about the metaverses, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and you look closely and there's like a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's on like the bookshelf behind him for, because it's an Easter egg. Because he wants to create memes or something, and they did they did a bunch of stupid stuff like that. It's fun.
Got it.
So you're not on the social media, so you don't.
Well,
get
I'm on LinkedIn,
with
but
this nonsense.
I hear the highlights of it. I honestly I left Facebook in 2015. I'm glad I did because if I hadn't, I would have left in 2016 anyway. I do some Instagram stuff, but mainly I'm on LinkedIn. I think there's a lot of good stuff in social media, but that's something I wish I could pause time on is social media. It's too much, but.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you don't need it, you don't need it. Like, for me, like, honestly, it's weird. Like, I would constantly go into my Facebook settings and, like, block advertisers. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is, like, I did it so much that for, like, a good, like, I want to say 9-month period, I literally did not have any ads on Facebook.
Isn't that awesome?
It was awesome. But I almost feel like, in a way, like, Facebook found out and shadow banned me or something because, like, literally nobody sees my content anymore that I put up on my personal.
They might. It's all based on algorithms,
Yeah, it's so crazy. I don't know. Like, it's not a big deal, but I'm just like, I don't bother to really post on Facebook personal anymore. I just use it for my business stuff now.
Right.
So I kind of understand just stepping away, and it is kind of nice, not like just dealing with people. Like why do people even bother leaving comments on posts? Because half the time you're gonna get a reply that's like some negative shit, some nonsense, some more questions, more confusion and nonsense. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like all this kind of stuff. And we've talked about in that one episode, Facebook social media nonsense. Like,
oh yeah, I remember. Like I made a comment like Olive Garden's now opening in Chicago. Finally, some real talent here in Chicago. And I'd comment saying, well, I don't think Olive Garden's necessarily real Italian.
I'm like, Italians
there's like it's sarcasm, dude.
Right.
I'm from Chicago.
Right.
I live in Pangea, but I'm from Chicago. I know what real talent is.
Well, so what happens then is you say like, oh, it was just a joke. I was being sarcastic. And then the other person would be like, someone else would be like, well, I didn't find it funny. And then, it's there's always
why I want to pause time.
There's always going to be
too much.
Yeah, there's always going to be a naysayer. And it can like spiral out of control. Like how many times have I like clicked onto some completely unrelated article, like somebody posted like something about like, popcorn. And then it becomes like some discussion about religion or something that spirals out into like massive flame wars and arguments and everything. And I'm like, it's cheese popcorn. That's what they were talking about, man. Now you're talking about like fucking the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Too much
shit. It's like, what the fuck? And it always happens. It's happened so many times. It's so crazy. So yeah, maybe it is good to step away from the social medias a little bit. Instagram's fun, I feel. Still.
It can be. Well, the good thing about Instagram is it takes skill. For Facebook, just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can jump on there and just type some words. But Instagram, like you can't just type something. You have to like post something and design it, and you have to like make it appealing.
Yeah, or at least just find images that are. But there's a little more there. Yeah.
But if you don't have good stuff, I mean, it's one of those things where people don't like you, they're not going to follow you, and then you get further and further down. And so, I mean, yeah, it's okay. It can be. I'm just honestly, I'd rather live life.
I'm
not against social media, but I'd rather just instead of taking pictures for my social media followers, I'd rather enjoy that moment and move on to the next. That's
Right.
just me.
Well, and there's, I mean,
That's
speaking of taking pictures for your followers, there's so much presentation and fakery. You know, some accounts and some people, you know, like.
All right. Anything else we got?
No. I think we're good. I think we summed it up. But we're solving the world's problems one issue at a time.
One
boss.
issue at a time. One issue at a time. Try to break bread with the enemy. I know it's tough. Try to be kind to each other. I know it's tough right now. Pangea forever.
Pangea forever.
We love y'all.
Good night, everybody.